we all know people in the county and people in the city, and since I'm a county resident, I can't vote for any of these fine candidates, but I would like to have a feeling from you on the Legacy Crossing and now Tourist. What is your perception of getting that property back on the tax rolls in a timely manner? We know that there's a 24-year space. You don't have to have it on, put it back on for 24 years. Do you have a feeling that maybe getting it back sooner so that tax money and the value of the property has gone up because you just made it look more pretty and there's businesses on it? What's your feeling on getting it back on the tax rolls?
Okay, who would like to be first? John.
I was one of the first members of the Urban Renewal Agency that was started under then Mayor Paul Agidius. And Jennifer, I am of the opinion that we should get the Alturas and Legacy Crossing back on the tax rolls as quickly as possible. I think the Alturas comes back on in 2015 or 2016, and the Legacy Crossing has got a number of more years. It was first started when I was on the council, and I got off the council at the end of 2009, so it's probably got 18 or 19 years. But I am pretty much in favor of getting it totally back on the tax rolls as soon as the debt for the infrastructure that the money is used and the taxes are used in the tax increment financing that is used with that kind of a process and that kind of a project. I am in favor of getting that back on the tax rolls for not only the citizens of Moscow, but the citizens of the rest of the county as quickly as possible.
Thank you, John. Anyone else? Yes, Art.
Yeah, I think there are two slightly different concepts here. The URA out at Alturas certainly needs to be finished up and completely built out and returned to the tax rolls in its entirety. And I believe that part of that probably would require a modification of the requirements for the businesses that want to move in there. What was working back in the late 90s isn't working so much anymore, so I think a little bit of recontemplation of those requirements would allow more businesses to go in there and finish building that whole project out and have done it. The Legacy Crossing, I think, is partly falling into the realm of the private developers who need to jump up and take advantage of the fact that with the URA, you get most of your infrastructure built for you. You get the roads, you get the utilities. All of those things can go in with the tax-deferred financing. And I think that developers should really be climbing on the bandwagon and starting to get that whole project up and running, because it'll be a wonderful, great thing to bridge the divide between downtown and the university and bring this town a little bit more together so we aren't two different entities but working more as one communal village. So I'd really like to see some more work from the development community to take advantage of what's here before them and go with that.
Thank you, Art. Nancy?
Tax increment financing, as we're using in the urban renewal districts, is one of the very few tools that localities have in the state of Idaho for economic development. It is an opportunity to make it more attractive to would-be developers because of that tax increment, the delayed financing and the public installation of infrastructure. So as we look at the research technology office zoning in Alturas, there are some grand opportunities there. Whether they get tweaked a little bit has yet to be seen. But that property was valued initially at $6.4 million. It's, I think, in excess of $22 million today. And so really we are seeing appreciation. So when it does come back onto our collective tax rolls, it will be advantageous to all of us. The type of development that will occur in those districts, that mixed-use development that we anticipate for Legacy Crossing, will be retail, office, residential, entertainment spaces, public gathering spaces. And that's kind of the shape of the future. I really think that live-work arrangements, we're talking about walkable, bikeable, accessible communities that are close to shopping and entertainment, to our restaurants, to our medical care facilities. That's going to be increasingly attractive, especially as my baby boomer generation comes full steam ahead. We're not one homogenous group. We have multiple needs, multiple interests, and to address those, I think mixed-use development will be really important for that. We also have had the advantage of EPA funding for the brownfields cleanup in that area where it's modestly contaminated with things that are old railroad and agricultural uses put in there, creosote, fungicides, pesticides. And that funding is actually for assessment and cleanup is making it more attractive for developers to go into those places too. The same holds true for this light industrial park that I mentioned as well. So I think urban renewal, tax increment financing is critical. I favor getting those back on the tax rolls as soon as we can. The funding, the GEM grant that just went into part of that Legacy Crossing area is expected to be repaid within 7 to 9 years. So we'll have fiber optic installation, we'll have 14-foot sidewalks, really neat things happening because of the funding and the enhanced awareness that urban renewal brings. So Jennifer, I support what you proposed for close turn.
Thank you, Nancy. Bill and then Walter. It's okay.
Thank you. I get you first, Walter.
Well, that's okay. Go ahead.
Jennifer, here's how I see things. And I'm going to give you a management approach, okay, and just a person of the community and not a political look here. Alturas, we should take a look at selling some of those things now as we're going along, and some of it has been tied up where we haven't done that. And so I think we need to take a look at some new things here, folks, and that's one of them. The Alturas, maybe opening up some different business endeavors. The Legacy Crossing that's been around for 7 years, and actually in a way it's been a pipe dream because nothing has really happened to the Legacy Crossing. It's a wonderful process. It'll take probably another decade, in my view, to get going where it's at. And we got to remember something, folks. It's about demographics, too. Do we have the demographics to spend the monies to do that for people to come in and build there? I don't know whether we do or not. Nancy had spoke about grants and different things, but what we need is developers that will develop that as businesses and condos and other things that were connectivity from the downtown area to the university itself. But that may take more than what we're just doing right now. As a business person and seeing it from a business point of view, you've got to say, okay, who's going to invest the money here and how's it going to go? Who's going to have the affordability to do it? And the demographics right now in Moscow, in my opinion, is not there. And it's going to take a while to get there. So the two things I see is maybe taking a different look at Alturas than what we've had over the decades that we've been dealing with it. And yes, Legacy Crossing is going to be something that's going to happen, but it's going to be a ways down the road before it does. Walter, the floor is yours.
That's my role.
Sorry, sis.
Walter.
I did get in trouble in school once in a while for being overzealous, too. I'm sorry.
You don't want to step on Sue's line. The question, former commissioner, is probably on the tip of a question in my mind. It should be turned back as soon as possible. I don't think you can get any of us to argue with you on that. The problem we've got is that they're both, Alturas and Legacy Crossing, are sitting, and nothing is occurring. A developer went into Lewiston at 5th and Main, and where a building burned down, and built a mixed-use building. They were renting rooms above to students for LCSC. They had retail space below. Someone can correct me if I'm wrong, but I am unaware that any retail ever moved in to that lower floor at the corner of 5th and Main, virtually in the middle of downtown Lewiston. That's why I'm not a real big optimist about Legacy Crossing. The comment was made that Legacy Crossing is a mixed-use anticipated development. It would be wonderful if it would happen, but as a couple of people have said, you've got to have developers willing to invest to make it happen, and then people willing to use it to make it work. I just hope that we haven't set ourselves up for a couple of URAs, which I think are a good concept and a good way to go, that we're going to really have a hard time getting out the backside of. 7 years with no new buildings in Alturas, to me, says we need to do something differently. I do not propose putting service stations, oil refineries, industrial park, anything in there. That's not what I'm talking about. But something needs to be done, or we're going to end up with what we've heard over and over again, the definition of insanity. doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different outcome.
Rebecca, would you like to speak to this?
Well, you know, as I said earlier, that I'm sort of coming onto this political scene as a new person, but I think the things that I've heard about Legacy Crossing, about being mixed use and stuff, I think there's great opportunity there if the developing gets sorted out, but for you know, retirement housing as part of the mixed use housing, and that interface with the connection with the university is just has great potential, because I think that's really gonna, you know, help people feel more connected, and that's pretty much what I'm thinking about it right now.
Thank you very much. Are there any? Somebody